Hi, my name is Taylor Hayden, and you're watching Influencing Entrepreneurs.
After years of teaching entrepreneurship and consulting business owners, I realized that true knowledge comes from the wins and losses of those entrepreneurs. These are the stories of those business leaders. I'm Casimir Ward, and this is Influencing Entrepreneurs. We're here today with Taylor Hayden, the owner and founder of Blackstone Shooting Sports. Your career started off as an attorney, but let's learn how that career path led into your journey to entrepreneurship.
The one thing I realized as I was practicing, and I was actually having fun doing it, but the one thing I realized is that, I just traded one evil for another. Like, I really didn't want to be in a world where I had to sell my time. If your time is your most valuable resource, it's the most precious thing we have, then there's no amount of money I would take to sell that time.
No matter what dollar amount you put on it, it's always going to be more than that.
Yeah. And I never really stopped looking for other things to do around this time. And I kickstarted a little product that I got manufactured in China. That was a wine aerator. That was the first idea I had. I got it. I learned how to get something manufactured in China, which was, it was new. What I learned there, so I kind of budgeted a specific amount for that and basically ran out of money. And that was where I learned the answer to the question, is it better to have a mediocre product and great marketing, or a great product and mediocre marketing? And the marketing, that marketing and sales engine, it just taught me how important that was. I spent all this time working on what I thought was a really great product and spending a lot of energy to make it something that, I would be proud of.
Yeah.
And when it came time to actually push the thing and move the product, I just didn't have enough gas left in the tank. One of the big things as well was I was like, I think I want to go start something. And my wife was like, look, you are trained as a lawyer. I'm trained as an accountant. We can always go get new jobs. Yeah. And now is the time to go do something different. So I'm sitting there practicing law again. I'm like, that's all well and good, but I can always go get another law job. That's kind of funny now because one of the little slogans in that entrepreneur group we're in is unhireable. And
I agree with you. I'm at a point, I don't think I could get a job anywhere.
I don't think anybody would hire me because they'd be like, okay, and so you definitely would listen to us and do the things we wanted you to do. I'd be like, no, I would do entirely my own thing. Yeah. I had a buddy from law school who I had helped, this is when I was still in Houston, to open a shooting range in Nashville, Tennessee. And I had done their operating agreement and negotiated their bank stuff. So I saw the steps. And then as I was sitting here trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I went and visited a ton of franchise opportunities. And I even had one that I was pretty close on. That one was pretty funny, actually. It was a high-end men's hair care place. Saw his original location, got lunch, everything was going great. I was like, I think I might do this. And it felt lower risk, right? Somebody else who knows how to
guys
operate.
With great hair. I mean, this may still be out there. We should maybe look into it.
But it was funny. Towards the end of the day, we went in and he was like, oh, do you want to see our camera system? And I was like, sure. And we're in his office and he's showing me all the different locations around the country. And he's watching. He's like, well, that guy shouldn't be doing that. And that guy shouldn't be doing that. I'm going to call him about that. And all of a sudden I realized that in a franchise is just like having a boss that you pay.
I feel the weight of that already. Just, being on camera, watching performance. Yeah.
And so I was like, I am not a person who is great at having a boss. I don't need a boss who's not really my boss, but who controls my entire intellectual property structure. So that was when I stopped looking at franchises. Now I'm like, okay, if I'm going to start something from scratch, what's it going to be? Around that time, I read in the Charlotte Business Journal that they'd changed the zoning to permit shooting ranges within the city limits. Another gun store in town had lobbied to get the amendment. And before that, it wasn't prohibited, but there was no right to do it. And so I read that and I thought that was interesting. I was like, oh, there's
an opportunity.
Yeah, there's a total gap in the market caused by regulation that's now been modified. So I called my buddy and I was talking to him about how it'd gone. We briefly thought about partnering up on the location here, but he had too many other things going on, but he was still immensely helpful. And I started putting together the information. I was like, this is a good business. I think I can do a good job at it. Now I just need to find a property. So started looking for a property, and that took a while to find one that was the right fit. There was a very specific zoning area that we would fit in. And so finding a property that was convenient and not industrial, but that still fit kind of the industrial zoned requirements of the code.
And that's the location you're still.
And that's our location here, yeah. And so that's kind of how we got Blackstone off the ground.
So you saw the opportunity, you've done it once before. Is there something in shooting sports in a range that like is a passion, or just the opportunity that's there?
No, I did not grow up around firearms, and didn't have a lot of strong opinions on them at all. Didn't grow up hunting. So it was purely I saw my buddy doing well at this business. I was surprised by this marketplace that I didn't know existed. And when I was trying to figure out if I could start it, what it would look like, I wound up traveling all around the country. I went to around 40 facilities around the country. And the question I was asking myself all the time is, what could I do in a business like this that would make it something that might actually be appealing to a person like me, who's not familiar with firearms and hasn't had a real draw towards them, or to a person like my wife. Yeah. And so that kind of became the question that needed answering. I didn't want to go be just another gun store. I wanted to find the things that were poor and going wrong, right, and these other ones, and correct it so that this could be a more mainstream thing.
And what were some of those things?
Dark, dirty, just a generally unsafe vibe, stuck back in like a hole in the wall, like it's like a dirty massage,
making it scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Types of folks who worked there, they're wearing tactical gear and multiple guns on their hips and all of these things. I was like, we can eliminate that. We're going to build a big building, and we're going to build it with really bright lights and bright colors. And our folks are going to have a uniform that looks like they could be working at any retail entertainment establishment. And we're not going to be gun first. Because that was one of the things that's crazy. If you haven't been into a firearm store before and you walk into one, it can be really intimidating, right? You walk in, there's guns everywhere, visible. So all of this was things we tried to work on, to give you what I would call buffer time, yeah, to acclimate yourself to where you are. So we have a wall right when you walk in, and the firearms are on the other side of that wall. Very accessible and very well displayed and attractive, but not visible the moment you walk in the door, again, so that you could get that acclimation time.
So not growing up as a gun enthusiast and going into something that there's always political debate on it. And of course there's two extremes and there's the middle, and with your background as an attorney, how do you approach that going in? Does it create some apprehension, or is there some preparedness you do beforehand? So while you're making it a much safer environment, the outside perception or maybe even conversation that you might have to have from there.
From my standpoint, honestly, I don't worry about it too much. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. I also think it gets amped up a little more in the media, like most things are these days. I remember early on we had a billboard, and it was Santa holding an AR, and it said, "Santa knows what you really want for Christmas." It was on I-77, and it got picked up by the news.
So you figured out marketing real quick.
Not real quick, but it got picked up by the news. But what was funny was Fox News picked it up and was like, local gun store getting, complaints and controversy over billboard. we got like 2 emails about it. Like and they were like, I really don't like your billboard that much. But like the news wanted to pick it up and make it a thing. And then there were, after that, we started getting like on the pro gun side, we started getting all these calls from people who are like, hey man, don't let them tell you what to do. This is your right.
Yeah.
So
now you are really right in the middle.
So my point in all that is I don't get too caught up in all the news rhetoric, because that's all it is rhetoric. Yeah. My job is to provide the product that I provide in the way that I believe is safe and proper to the types of people who want to partake in that. There's nothing wrong with people enjoying the recreation that they choose as their primary pastime. And for us, we have a super interesting clientele. Like if anybody wonders what gun stores are like, just come and sit in ours for a little bit, and you'll see it's all walks of life. It's all kinds of people. You can't pigeonhole them like they do on TV. It's a great group of people, and they deserve to have a nice place to go and enjoy themselves.
What is the one thing that is very similar to running a law practice to running Blackstone that kind of was transferable? Or something you learned running your law practice that was like, ooh, that was the skill I needed that has helped with Blackstone? 2 totally different types of businesses.
Honestly, not much. I guess the thing that is what in strategic coach parlance you call unique ability. My unique ability is the ability to take complicated things and break them down into easier to understand chunks or simple individual systems. So like I'm kind of the master of our data stack at Blackstone, and I like getting in there and parsing through it to find useful information for my guys that can help them make decisions about the operational things we want to do. Taking the complex and making it simple, that's very much something I learned being a lawyer. But beyond that, a lot of things I had to unlearn. The 80-20 rule, 80% is good enough. If you're 80% sure something's going to work, just go ahead and do it. Yeah. That is not a lawyer mentality. Yeah.
Oh no, you need 100%.
No, you must eliminate all risk.
Yes.
Yeah, amusingly, I've actually probably had to unlearn more things. And the one thing I'll say on marketing, it's not esoteric. It's not hard. Entrepreneurs are scared of it. They think that somebody has to go to school to learn how to market. You are your own target market. Like if you just think in the world like that, like what would appeal to me? What's the kind of messaging or avenues of connection that would work with me? You're starting a path towards marketing. You're the best teller of your own story. And so I think it's imperative that small businesses take ownership of their marketing and understand that it's not this dark space that they can't possibly understand. It's of all of the facets of the business, it's probably the simplest.
Yeah. And you just got to roll up your sleeves and get uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think no better a statement to end on than that. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for coming to talk today.
Thanks, Cass.
Thanks for watching. To watch more episodes of Influencing Entrepreneurs, be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Nexagy Education.